During many years working in medicine, I always believed in a very familiar nutrition rule. The older you get, the more protein you should eat, especially meat, to keep your muscles strong. Protein builds muscle, muscle keeps you strong. And strong muscles are the key to staying independent in old age. That's what nearly every doctor is taught. But when I began reviewing the health data of patients over the age of 75, something very surprising appeared. Many of them were still eating enough protein every day. They ate meat, fish, and even added extra high-protein foods to their diets. Yet their muscles continued to weaken over time. Their strength declined. Their mobility also became worse. This made me ask an important question. Is the real problem truly how much protein we eat? Because after the age of 75, the human body begins to change in ways that very few people talk about. The digestive system slows down, digestive enzymes gradually decrease, and the body's ability to absorb nutrients is no longer as efficient as it once was. And this quiet shift begins to challenge one of the long-held beliefs about how we nourish our muscles as we age. When scientists looked more closely at the bodies of people over 75, they discovered an important biological phenomenon called anabolic resistance. It may sound complicated, but the idea is actually simple. Muscle cells no longer respond to protein as strongly as they did when we were younger. This means you could eat a large steak, a meal full of meat or fish, and feel completely full, yet your body may not activate the muscle building and repair process as effectively as it once did. As we age, several changes happen at the same time. Blood circulation becomes slower, low-grade inflammation in the body tends to increase, and the signals that trigger muscle growth gradually weaken. All of these factors make it harder for muscles to fully use the protein we consume, even when our diet still contains enough of it. So after the age of 75, the real challenge is no longer just eating more protein. It's finding foods that help the body absorb and utilize protein more effectively. And that's exactly what we're about to explore next. So if eating more meat after the age of 75 doesn't necessarily help the body maintain muscle better, an important question arises: what foods actually help older adults use nutrients more efficiently? Interestingly, the answer doesn't lie in expensive foods or complicated supplements. In fact, many recent studies suggest that some traditional foods that have existed for hundreds of years in different cultures may support the aging body remarkably well. These foods don't just provide protein. They also contain natural compounds that can improve amino acid absorption, reduce inflammation, and support healthier metabolism in the body. In today's video, we'll explore 5 traditional foods that may help people over 75 maintain muscle mass, improve strength, and support long-term health. And the food ranked number 2 has surprised many researchers because people who regularly eat it seem to maintain muscle better, even when their overall protein intake is lower. But before we get into that list, I'd like to ask you a very simple question. How old are you? And if you're already over 70 or 75, do you feel that the protein you eat every day is actually helping you feel stronger? Or do you sometimes notice that even though you're eating well, your body still feels weaker over time? Try writing your age in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to know the age of the people watching this video. Our team reads every single comment, and sometimes the comment section becomes almost like a small clinic, a place where people share their experiences, their eating habits, and how they take care of their health as they get older. So don't hesitate to share. Now, let's begin with the first food on our list, ranked at number 5. It's a dish that has been part of many cultures' kitchens for hundreds of years, yet very few people realize how beneficial it can be for those over 75. At number 5 on the list is a very familiar food in Asian cuisine, but one that is often underestimated nutritionally. That food is miso fermented soybean paste. Miso has been used in traditional Japanese meals for more than 1,000 years. The secret lies in the fermentation process. When soybeans are fermented over time, their proteins are broken down into smaller peptides and amino acids. This means that when older adults eat miso, the body doesn't have to work as hard to digest the protein, because part of that process has already happened before the food even enters the body. Miso also contains beneficial probiotics that support gut health, and it is particularly rich in vitamin K2, an important nutrient that helps the body direct calcium into the bones instead of allowing it to accumulate in the arteries. Using miso is very simple. The most important thing is not to boil it directly, because high heat can destroy its beneficial bacteria. Instead, simply dissolve miso into hot water or broth that has cooled slightly, stir well, and enjoy. At number 4 on the list is a food that our grandparents used for generations, yet modern nutrition seems to have almost forgotten it. That food is slow-cooked bone broth. But here, we're not talking about canned broth or instant powdered mixes. The type that truly provides benefits is bone broth made by slowly simmering bones for 24 to 48 hours. This long cooking process helps release important nutrients, such as collagen, glycine, and natural minerals from the bones. These compounds are especially valuable for older adults because they support joints, cartilage, connective tissues, and overall mobility. In addition, glycine is known as an amino acid that may help reduce inflammation and even improve sleep quality. A simple way to add it to your routine is to drink 1 or 2 cups of warm bone broth each day, or use it as the base for soups and stews in your daily meals. At number 3 on the list is a group of foods that seem very familiar, but the way we usually eat them may not be ideal for older adults. These are dark leafy greens, such as spinach, kale, mustard greens, and Swiss chard. Many people believe that eating vegetables raw is always the healthiest option. But for people over 75, raw vegetables can sometimes be harder to absorb. The reason is that the cell walls of these vegetables contain tough cellulose, and the digestive system in older adults is often no longer strong enough to break down this structure efficiently. That's why, in many traditional cuisines, leafy greens are lightly cooked and eaten with a small amount of healthy fat, such as olive oil, ghee, or coconut oil. This helps the body absorb fat-soluble vitamins like vitamins A, E, and K much more effectively. In addition, leafy greens contain natural nitrates, which help the body produce nitric oxide, an important compound that improves blood flow to the brain and muscles. And for older adults, better circulation often means greater strength, better mobility, and more energy in daily life. At number 2 on the list is a food that may not seem luxurious, but it is incredibly powerful for the health of people over 75. That food is sardines, eaten with the bones. Sardines are one of the very few foods that provide almost a complete package of essential nutrients for older adults in a single serving. They contain high-quality protein, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, vitamin B12, selenium, and most importantly calcium from their soft, edible bones. What's interesting is that the calcium from sardine bones is often absorbed more effectively by the body than many calcium supplements. That's because in fish bones, calcium naturally exists alongside other minerals that help the body recognize and utilize it more efficiently. In addition, the omega-3 fats in sardines help reduce chronic inflammation, which is one of the key factors behind muscle loss and declining health as we age. A simple way to include them in your diet is to eat sardines packed in olive oil 2 to 3 times per week. And don't throw away the soft bones, that's where most of the valuable calcium is found. And at number 1 on this list is a group of foods that are very familiar, yet often underestimated in the modern diet. These are lentils and legumes, such as chickpeas, black beans, red beans, and fava beans. Many studies on the regions with the highest life expectancy in the world, often called the blue zones, have found an interesting common pattern. People who remain healthy into their 90s or even 100s often have a habit of eating beans almost every day. What makes legumes especially valuable for people over 75 is the way the body processes their protein. Unlike meat protein, which is digested relatively quickly, the protein in beans is released more slowly, providing muscles with a steady supply of amino acids over several hours. In addition, legumes contain a special type of fiber called resistant starch, which helps nourish beneficial gut bacteria, reduce inflammation, and support the immune system. A simple habit, like eating a bowl of beans or lentils each day, may provide long-term benefits for muscle health, heart health, and overall well-being. Before we end today's video, I want you to remember one very important thing. After the age of 75, our bodies don't necessarily need more food. They need the right kinds of food. Everything we talked about today, from fermented miso, slow-cooked bone broth, properly prepared leafy greens, sardines eaten with the bones, to soft-cooked beans, all share something in common. These are simple foods that have existed in traditional kitchens for hundreds of years across many cultures. And sometimes, it's exactly these simple foods that help the body age in a healthier way. So instead of trying to change everything at once, start with one small step. It might be a bowl of miso soup, a warm cup of bone broth, or a meal that includes beans and leafy greens. In the next video, I'll share some very common breakfast mistakes people over 70 make, habits that may seem harmless, but can actually cause muscles to weaken faster over time. If you don't want to miss that video, make sure to subscribe to the channel now. And I'll see you in the next video.